Welcome, Modern Talkers. This is Modern Talk. Modern Talk. Why? I don't know if you could tell, but the lighting's back to normal. And it looks a little bit better around here. Not that you guys care or know. It's just always looks like this with nothing behind me. I've had a lot of trouble this week with technology, and I think it's because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, dude, but the new iPhone and stuff is coming out, and my phone said it has low storage, and it was always like a quarter of what I have. I have 256 gigabytes or something, like the big one. And then all of a sudden my phone starts getting like glitchy, and if I do something, it waits like 5 seconds before it actually does what I did. And then I was like, what the heck is going on? And then finally, like an hour or two later, it said your storage is low. And I was like, no, it's not. But so I did some, conniving on it, and it's better, but it's like 3/4. It was like 2 gigabytes away from being full. I don't know, dude. We need to look into that. And I know, I think they caught Apple for making old phones slower, like iPhone 6s when iPhone 12 came out or something. But I have the 12, and so the 14 is coming out. So I know it's like 2 years you're supposed to get a new phone, and so I was supposed to get one in December, I think. Well, that's when the contract is up or whatever it's called. But contracts. I hate when they're like, when advertisements are like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I blanked out. Wow, I got in my editing head and I completely forgot what I was doing. Sorry. I'll just edit this out, but advertisers are like, no contracts required. And I'm just like, you were the one who started requiring contracts in the first place. Like, this is your fault, and this is like giving someone dog poop every day, and then one day you're like, hey, no dog poop today. And you're like, well, thanks, but you didn't have to do it all the other times. This is all you. And the contracts are so, what do they mean? Are they really binding? Can't you just tear it up or something? Like, people do that in movies. They're like, this is not, this means nothing to me anymore. And they tear it up, and it's like, oh, are they free now? Is that the only copy? They can't tape it? What's going on? So I don't know. The contracts seem arbitrary, and the deal is you have to pay whether there's a contract or not. So why is a contract supposed to be like, thank goodness at least there's no contracts? Maybe I just don't know enough about adult stuff, but that's just my understanding of it. And so I've been having troubles, and I think, I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but it's crazy, and I feel like this happened last fall, because I remember specifically on both of these, on my iPad and my phone, they were almost full, and then I did like stuff to mitigate it, and then I checked, you know, a few months ago, I was like, I guess that's not a problem anymore. And it was down, like I said, to a quarter. And I don't get it. I think something's going on because they could really flimsy up those numbers. It's not a big deal, or not. It doesn't seem very complicated. But you know, you gotta take people's word for it, even though they've already been proven to be skeezy. But when that first came out, I was like, who cares? Like, iPhone 6s, if you have an iPhone 6, you need to upgrade anyway, so they're doing you a favor. But I didn't think about how people can't afford it, and now I'm more aware of that because I pay for way more stuff. So yeah, I understand that it's terrible and that sucks. So I feel for those people, and it was a good lesson in empathy. So everything's a lesson. Yeah, so I had a bunch of troubles too that were probably unrelated to flimsying up numbers. But I started editing these podcasts. I was editing the ones that were just audio, which are painstaking. But now I'm doing these, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to go about it and stuff. And the first one, I don't remember doing this, but obviously I did. The first one is me telling the breakup story, and it was really long, and I really take my time with it, and I don't know how to fix that, or if it needs to be fixed. So I'm still, it's an annoying part about doing everything yourself, and you're philosophizing like, is this better? Would this reach a audience that I want? You know, that kind of stuff. Gosh, there's so much that goes into everything. But podcasting used to be pretty and simple, and that's what I liked about it. And well, one of the things. And now with this, like, I have lights, and I'm waking up at 6 a.m. to get here early to do this, and it's just it takes a lot, and you know, maybe it takes a lot because I never like made it big, so maybe it always took this much work. Not maybe like this specifically, but different kind of audio specific work that people had to do to actually like make it big. And I'm really going for it. Like, I have the music and stuff now, and that's almost fully done. So I definitely will do that, which is good. Shout out to Jack Jeter again. Yeah, so I don't remember what I was talking about specifically before this. Oh yeah, editing the podcast, it's tough, and philosophizing about. And that's what takes the most time, is when you know what you want to do, then it's like, okay, good. I know this is what I have to do. This is my task. But when you're figuring out, is this the right task? That's the most painstaking and time-consuming part of like being your full boss or whatever. And it's not as big of a deal when you're like a freelancer and you do stuff for other people, because it's like, well, I know how to do this and I could do it relatively quickly. This is my instinct, so I'm just gonna go for it. And then you're like, they might like that way more than something that I painstaked over. So who's to say? So I'm just gonna do the good, simple instinct that I have. And maybe your instinct isn't simple sometimes, but at least you know, all right, I'm just gonna go with this. And that's what I mean by simple. So yeah, so it takes a long time, and it's a lot. But I love it. Like, when I'm not doing it, I'm thinking about it and trying to get back to when I can do it. And I do like when I figure it out, like, this is probably right. This feels right. And then otherwise I would be thinking, I don't know, this just doesn't feel right. I didn't give it enough time. But boring stuff. softball started. I did it. I think it started last week. Did I talk about it? I don't remember. I think a little bit. I had a hugely fun, awesome game. And it sounds stupid because it's softball. We all know it's dumb and like you're playing against, the average age is like 30-ish or something. So that's probably generous even. But it's fun, dude. It's fun being the young gun, or just being good, and it helps being young for sure. So the two games ago, they put me in right field, which I thought was weird, because I don't know. I feel like I'm better other places, but ended up working out, and the first play of the game, I don't know if it's in my head or what, but I feel like I could mostly tell where people are gonna hit it by their stance and where the ball is thrown. So with those two things, I could kind of feel like 90% of the time where it's gonna go within the range where I could run, if I think it's coming to me. And I mean, 90 is way higher than it actually is. I'm sure I'm biased or whatever, but I think it definitely helps. And I don't know if people pay attention to that all the time or what, but yeah, that's a fun, kind of interesting thing that I think people don't think about or know about. And since it's soft pitch, you have more time to know. So the first pitch of that game, I caught like a line drive in right field, right center, and that was like a good like tone setter to get the game going. And then my first two at bats, I did inside the park home runs back to back, and then the next one they said, hey, they had people on base and no one out or something, so they're like, hey, don't try to kill it. And I never tried to kill it. I just tried to get contact, and I'm fast enough where I could usually get extra bases if it makes it out of the infield. And and so I just got a single on that one. I like dinked it I always hit on the inside, so I need to back up. Boring. Back up off the plate. And then the last one was a triple, and it was only a triple because the person in front of me wasn't fast enough, and I couldn't pass them up. So so yeah, and then the next pitch, someone hit a single, or the next batter. I don't know if it was the next pitch, but the next. See, I don't flimsy up the numbers like Apple. I told you guys from the beginning. Anyway, she hit a single, and then I scored, and then that was the game-winning score. So that was really exciting. That was like one of the best games that I've ever had. And I did miss one fly like in the field that hit my glove that I should have had. But other than that, it was really kind of lights out. This last game was a disaster. It was fun, but we were kind of just doomed from the beginning. So what happened was we needed. I don't want to get too deep into this because I know people probably don't care about softball that much, but I'm trying to get to the things that you learn from the game, not just the game. Does that make sense? So I don't know if I'm doing it well enough where you could find it yourself. Maybe I'll try to spell it out for you guys a little bit better, but so we were down one person. So you're supposed to have 10 people in softball, and so you have 4 people in the outfield, and you have, since it's co-ed, you have to have at least 4 girls, and if not, then you have to take an out at the end of your lineup. So we had only 3 outfielders, and every time we batted, we had to get an out eventually, automatically. So that team was also just really good. They were just hitting dingers, and one person did hit a home run actually, and then that was crazy, because that usually doesn't happen. But yeah, so I was center field, which means like I had a lot of space to cover. They said like they had their fastest guys out there, so it was me and the 2 other guys, which was flattering but also annoying because they were just lighting me up. They were just hitting it in the field, and there's so much field. I think I'm getting too into the details about this stuff and not what I learned about it. But so anyway, I'm just trying to paint the picture of why it was such a hard game. And but after that, I learned from that, and then I caught almost every ball my way. Some were just, out of my range, but any in my range I caught, which I was proud of because they were hit. I probably caught 5 fly balls, which is a crazy time for crazy amount for an outfielder, I would think. And we only went like 3 innings because they mercy rolled us. They had like 30 and we had 6, I think. So it didn't feel great. But yeah, it was brutal. So this might be interesting for people. I just got crushed in the outfield, and I was winded because I was running everywhere, and I was up first, which is flattering again, but I was like, I can't I can run, but if this is the first inning, I'm gonna be dead. So I took 3 straight pitches, and they were all balls. So and you start with a 1-on-1 count. So I took my base, and then because they walked a guy, the girl has to walk too, some rule. So I got 2 people on base by not swinging. Win. And I would have swung if there was a strike, but it's like if you're not going to throw me strikes, I'm not going to swing. And then I was rounding third. This made me so mad. I was rounding third, and I usually always just go because I like to make them make the play, and I feel like I could most of the time like finagle my way to being safe, either like being fast enough or sliding in a certain way, or just paying attention to how they go, or not hesitating, whatever it is. If it's close, I get it like 95% of the time, but not all the time. And but so I was listening to the third base coach, and he said, hold up, and I was mad, and they overthrew it like crazy, and I would have been safe easily. So that was really annoying. And then the next person was out, so I didn't get to score. And so we got shut out that inning, and they just scored 8 in the top of the first inning. So we needed. You need to listen to yourself, is what I learned about that. Don't listen to your base coach. They underestimate you. And sometimes your third base coach is your stepdad, And that's what I'm trying to say. You need to learn from my mistakes. You don't need to, but I'm allowing you to. And then my second at bat, they had a full team, but they played 3 in the outfield, and then 4 in the 5 in the infield. So so there's like a extra person that, which I think is mostly smart. But anyway, so there's an extra guy on the left side because most people hit lefty or hit to the left if they're right-handed. And so I hit it to the right, and I can't always do that, but I figured it out. So they didn't get me because I hit it to the other side, and then I got the second, and it was close. They threw me, but you know me, dude. I figured it out, and I was safe. And then the guy, that like extra guy was annoying, and he stuck the, like, so that in case I got off the bag, he kept his glove on me, so I'd be out if I got off the bag. And it wasn't just like laying on me, it was like pushing on me. And so so that made me mad. I felt like disrespected or whatever, like I would get off, like you could even get me. Like there's any circumstance where you would get me is hilarious. So so when I got up, I got off the base. When he started to walk away, I got off the base and was like, oh, I'm gonna go? And then he was pissed, which made me really happy. Just, I'm a psychopath. When I get competitive, dude. Yeah, man. So like he was like, and then finally I went. My teammates were yelling at me like, Tommy, just stay on the bag. I don't know why they don't trust me yet. Like I feel like I've proven myself that I know what I'm doing. And so when he threw it to the when he threw it to the pitcher to be like a time where you can't run anymore, I like still took a couple, and then took a couple paces towards third just to mess with them. And I usually don't go that hard, but since he went like that and our team was scoreless after they scored 15 million runs or whatever, I needed to give us an edge. So I was getting our energy up. It's like when in hockey, you're not supposed to fight the other team unless you're the losing team. And so if you're winning and you fight, that's stupid because you can only lose momentum. But because even if you win, wait, I'm I'm getting too in the weeds. I think in the weeds. I love saying that. Yeah, but if you lose, at least you were like put up a fight. If you're the team that's losing already, so it gives your team energy. Like, oh, he's this passionate about it that he had to fight. So, I gotta go harder too. And but if you're already winning, you only do that because of your ego or whatever. Because if you win, it's like, okay, you won already. But then they're fired. The other team's fired up, like, oh, he really went for it. So in that instance, I was losing, so I had to put up a fight, and so that's like the whole thing I was trying to get to this whole time, pretty much. Like I should just cut out the rest of the parts. But like I feel like that's a really great lesson that you need to, when you're down, you need to fight. So that was my way of fighting, and then we did really good that inning. And was it because of me? I don't know. But the other inning, it didn't work, so I had to rile him up. And so that guy was definitely annoyed. And then I ran so the next play, they hit it, and I stayed for a second because I didn't know if they would catch it. And then I ran past third, didn't even listen to what the third base coach said, and I got home safe because they didn't throw it well, which like always happens. And there was a like at least 60-year-old girl catching, so even if she caught it, she'd have to tag me and all that stuff. So there's a lot that could have gone wrong there. So that's why I went for it, and why I should have went for it in the first place, or the last time. Nothing would have mattered at all, because we got we got 30-6 or whatever. Could have been 30-7 though. Wow, I can't believe 31s is so many runs. That's so embarrassing. I really love talking to you guys. This is really fun. I didn't know if I had anything to talk about this one, and maybe people are like, you shouldn't have done this one because you have only talked about softball and I don't care about softball. I don't know why I have that voice in my head so much. I guess I just want everyone to be and enjoy it, so that's why I'm doing that. I'll probably talk about that later. Something I talked about in therapy. But so then one of our guys was hurt, so he couldn't run very well. So I got to run for him. So after I scored, they're like, hey, go run for him. And so I was like, oh man, I was tired because I just ran a bunch, and then now it gives us another chance to gives me and that guy another chance to go at it. And I won the last one undoubtedly, so I don't want to do it again because I already won. And so I was like, all right, Tommy, you can't like really push the envelope here, because you're tired, first of all, and he's pissed. Now he knows that he hates you. So before he kind of just played you like, I guess, normally, but now he's like, oh, this guy, I got to get this guy, which is how I would be. So I was just projecting, I guess. But the point is, I didn't lose that one either. So maybe I slid in the second again. But I didn't. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. I slid in a second again, but it was way easier. Maybe I didn't even slide, but I got the second, and then I was still like pushing the envelope a little bit, like barely, like close to the bag, but not on the bag until like the last second. And so he didn't win again. And then, like I said, I scored. So suck it. And it was cool to score twice in one inning. That very rarely happens. And then later, I think I caught one of his balls before Gross. That's the last thing I wanted to say. So he remembered I hit it to the right last time. So, wow, this made me so mad. When I was up to bat, right when the pitcher was pitching it, he ran over to that side, and then I just took the pitch because I didn't want him to get the satisfaction of like, I guess I was aiming that way again, because I was like, well, I'm just gonna hit there again if not as many people are there, obviously. And so I just took the pitch, and then the next pitch, I think the other one might have been a ball or something, but I hit it to the left, but it was right to the third baseman. So I was out, but it was close. It was like a full step, like I was a full step away, but oh well. And then I like, because I hit it not well, like it felt like I hit it like right next to my hand, so it was like the least powerful part of the bat. So I like threw the bat, not like, I didn't think like I'm gonna throw the bat, but I just, when I went to put the bat down, I was mad that I hit it poorly, so I like threw it, and then the like 80-year-old lady back there, 60 or whatever, I don't flimsy up numbers unless it's way flimsy, and then you know it's flimsy, and it's a, you know, hyperbole, but I threw it, and then I got out, so I was still mad, but shoot, that makes me mad. Yeah, I wish I got on, but the lady was like, he almost hit a woman of all people or something, like sexism isn't dead. Yes, dude. It shouldn't matter if you're a girl or a guy, and if we're being completely real about or if we're being completely the same about everyone. But don't push me, dude. So so I ran like all the way to right field because I was so mad, and I wanted them to like know that because I got out, I'm not gonna stop running or something. I don't know. It was stupid. It was a kind of a Hail Mary, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was that game, and so we got out in like 4 innings, I don't know. It's just really bad. But you know, I'm sure we got better. I definitely got better in the outfield. I feel like I could read the balls way better. Gross. Like your first step should always be back, because you don't want the ball to get behind you. So that's what I learned. Well, I already knew that, but I had to like implement it. So I finally feel like I nailed that, and the ball only got behind me once early, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play back, more back, and then go up if I need to. So yeah, and I think that's all I wanted to say about that stuff. But I wanted to update you guys that I finally got my stuff back from my ex, and I want to make this quick because, you know, it could get boring. But she was really nice about it in person, and I was hoping I would get like an extra surprise that I forgot that I had there. I didn't think that she would like give me a surprise, but I mean, I thought I forgot some of the stuff that I left, but I didn't. It was just like literally the 2 things that I left. That was a bummer, but I wore, it was the first football Sunday of the regular season, so I wore Steelers stuff, and then I wore Steelers pajama pants that look funny and silly. I'll probably put a picture up on it of it here. And I'm looking at it in my head right now. It's funny. So when the first thing she said was, nice outfit, and I said, yeah, I figured it'd be harder to cry in pants like these. And she was confused for a second, and then she's like, oh yeah, that's funny. So that was a nice icebreaker. And then and we talked for like a second, and then she had to go to work, so we hugged, and then that was it. And then we left it nice. Like, obviously we hugged, and I really wanted to, because up until like the text up until giving us each other the stuff was kind of annoying, because we didn't know where each other were. We met in a parking lot, in a crowded parking lot. So I wanted to end nicely on the text field. Also, what I wanted to say, the last part of the softball stuff, I'm sorry if you hate the softball stuff, and I'm sorry if you really like the breakup stuff, but nobody. I always am competitive in the game, but as soon as the game's over, I'm friends with everyone. And in my head. Like I don't go up and be like, hey, what's up, dog? But we do the like good game, you know, with the other team. And so we always look them in the eyes and smile and say good game. Everyone. And so, you know, I think he did too. So I think we both knew the deal of the game and didn't let it bleed into real life. So I said it in the texting field, which made me think of that. So so I tried to like think of a nice thing to say that I didn't say in person. Like, thank you for giving my stuff, blah, blah, blah. I was like, it just feels forced, and I'm just repeating myself. I can't think of anything else. I'm just not gonna say anything, and we'll see what happens. And then literally like 2 minutes later, she was like, hey, thank you for understanding, for taking so long, and blah, blah, blah. And I was nice back and said, you know, whatever, like, you're like, no need to be sorry. I'm glad, you know, I'm sorry it took so long because of the things that happened to you. And she didn't say anything back, and all I would want is an acknowledgement. And I think I maybe talked about this on another podcast, but that's what bothers me. She is not as pleasant in text anymore, which she doesn't owe me anything, but yeah, so all I wanted was like a reaction, like a thumbs up or a love would have been like, I would have been happy. But I told Pete about this, and he was like, maybe she's just guarding herself. And I was like, guarding herself from what? It's just me. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I never heard her before. Why would I start now? And I guess because we broke up, but that's not me, and I think she would know that. And then I talked to my therapist about this. I just talked to everybody about it. Literally everybody who wants to, because I'm saying it on here too. But my therapist was like, maybe she doesn't think about it. Maybe she just like literally, she doesn't consider how you take it, like in a nice way. Like, you know, I'm living my life. He said something nice, great. That's the end of it. And she really doesn't even think about it. And also, it's out of my control. Like, I don't know why I didn't think of that before. But like, that's just her. She's just doing her stuff, and I can't. That's it. That's the end of it. I just have to accept that. And I always talk about acceptance, but for some reason in that instance, you just have expectations, and when you're broken up, you have different expectations because you're different people in a new time frame and all this stuff. So it's just weird. I think that's all I wanted to say about that. My therapist was saying how she noticed that a lot of the time I talk about how what they feel or how I think they would feel if and when that happened, something I did. So I think that served me well a lot to really consider what I'm saying and how other people will take it. But at the end of the day, that's just manipulation. But you could use it for good or bad. So I like to think I do it for good to the best of my knowledge. So I do like doing that. But I manipulate people to feel good. So it's not like a bad thing. But I guess, I mean, you know, it's still manipulation, but and it's not that I don't feel real about what I'm saying. Like, that would be bad, even if it was good, that you were just saying stuff because you wanted them to feel good. But I'm just wording things specifically so that they could only take it good. So that in that way, I feel like it's not bad manipulation. And that's how I try to be good at stand-up. You have to write something to get a reaction from the audience, hopefully a laugh, and so I think maybe that's why I fostered that, or maybe that's why I tried stand-up. I don't know, which came first, but yeah, so that's really interesting, and maybe I should worry more about. That's kind of what she says sometimes, is maybe you should worry about more just about you, especially after a relationship where, like in relationships, you should be thinking about the other person a lot, if not all the time, in my opinion, I guess. But so I've come to a place where I don't need to think about anyone else really, except me, family and friends and stuff. But I guess that's a choice. And but like I don't have really a verbal contract with anyone to care about them that much. So she thinks maybe I should work on just focusing on myself and how I would feel and do stuff that makes me feel good. But it makes me feel good to make other people feel good. So I don't know, it's kind of a circular argument, and it's that's kind of how I always been. And TJ Miller talks about that a lot, about how he does stand up in movies and everything to make people happy, because the world is inherently really hard. So he likes to provide laughter and happiness to people, as many people as he can, and he doesn't, like, I'm sure, obviously everyone would feel good about people laughing with them or at them, at whatever, but making people laugh feels good for you, but he does it for other people. And so I've really tried to hone in on that, because I think that's a way more noble thing to do than just like, oh, I like when people laugh with me. Yeah. So I really try to focus my comedy that way. But then I do Oasis Bros. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but there's a TikTok, Oasis Bros, at Oasis Bros. And me and Pete and people who lived at this place called Oasis at college, we made a TikTok account together, and it's like just silliness and just that's like just for us. And so that's one of the things that's just for us.
Hey guys,
but
Tommy here.
But most of the time I try to do stuff that's funny for that people would like. I do have a healthy amount of like being silly just for me, I guess, but maybe I need to do more, and maybe if I was completely selfish, I think my therapist would also say, hey, consider what the other person is maybe thinking. I think she would just want balance for me and everyone. So I think that's it. I love you guys so much, and if you listen, holy crap, especially after that first one that I edited, you guys are real deals. So maybe that's what my fans will be called, real dealers. I don't know. I guess that's for you guys to decide about yourselves. But I love you guys, and I hope this made you think. If it didn't, maybe you weren't listening. And keep in touch with me, Tommy, your host. Thank you.
Welcome, Modern Talk. This is Modern Talk. Modern Talk. Modern Talk. Modern Talk. I hope this made you think. Why? How?
Bruh.